It's now 10 p.m. over in Tralee. It's presumably 5 p.m. in Ontario, so we'll get the webinar going. Hello, Canada. Greetings from Tralee. You're all welcome. Thank you for joining us here this evening. I'd like to acknowledge in the first instance, particularly our friends in Hamilton, Ontario at KOM Consultants, Adam and Martin. Adam is the technological person over there, so he's going to keep us on air for the evening. My technological colleague Chris is here beside me also to manage the same from our side. The format of this evening is that I will go through a 10-15 minute presentation using some PowerPoint slides, and as questions come through, I'll be handling those. I'll then hand you over to two students who are with us at the moment from Ontario, one from St. Lawrence College and one from St. Clair College. We're in different programs, so they will be able to talk to you, shall we say, student to student, and tell you stuff that I don't know. The purpose of this evening is not for me to tell you how marvellous IT Tralee is, though honestly it is marvellous. The real purpose this evening is that you will get as much information as you need. I entirely accept that you have a big decision to make. What we're doing is we're asking you to come 5,000, 6,000 miles to a country that hopefully you've heard of before but may not have been here, to a college that you probably didn't hear of until relatively recently, to work for a semester or 2 semesters with people that you've never met before, to leave your family and friends behind, and then there's the issue of money. So I'd like to make sure that each one of you would have the full information so that you can make a decision. So this evening is about you and whatever information you require. Okay, so let's have a look at what is this place called IT Tralee. As you'll see from the first slide that we have, down here in the bottom right hand corner, it tells us that we were set up in 1977 and this year we're celebrating our 50th anniversary. I understand that many of your colleges are celebrating their 50th anniversary this year, so happy birthday to us all. Tralee is down in the southwest of Ireland. It is the most picturesque part of the entire island. I'm not biased in saying that. It is the home of tourism. And the reason that it is the home of tourism is because as we look out our window, sorry, let me try to find how I move the slides on. There we go. As we look out our office windows, this are the scenes that we can have. The beautiful beaches that are only 3, 4, 5 miles away from the college. Our motto is live, learn, discover. Alternative view. And this is something on the right-hand side that I'm going to be looking at through the evening, because what I say is hopefully important, but what the students actually say should be far more important. This is what a student who was with us 2 years ago from Fleming College said. My experience in Tralee has been nothing short of amazing. One of the many bonuses of studying in Tralee is the ease of finding students who are far from home. The international community here is very vibrant and strong. When you come to Ireland, what you will find is that there's lots of people who want to look after you. We're a very friendly group of people down here in the southwest. Just to put things into context, I'll show you where we actually exist on our little island. Tralee is down here in the southwest corner of Ireland. Dublin is about a 3.5-hour journey away over on the east coast. You will see just to the southeast of Tralee, there's a symbol of an airplane. That means that there is an airport just about 15 miles from Tralee, and it is serviced principally by a company called Ryanair. Ryanair call themselves the low fares airline, and with relatively low fares, they will fly you to Dublin, to London, to various cities in Europe. And on the basis that this might be the only time that some of you are actually in Europe, it might be an opportunity for you to see a little bit of the rest of Europe, spend a weekend in Rome, a weekend in Paris, and it can be done relatively cheap with a company like Ryanair. In addition to that, we have a good transport network out of Tralee. So all those red lines that you see on the map, they're all mainline trains. There's also a bus network that takes you to anywhere you want to go in Ireland. This is a picture of our North Campus. There are two campuses. IT Tralee operates out of 2 campuses, but both of those campuses are in Tralee town. Now, Tralee town itself is quite a small town. I call it town. My Canadian friends call it a small city. It's about 25, 26,000 people in total. We had a campus in almost town centre and we grew out of it. So we all moved north into this building about 10 years ago. But the vast majority of Canadian students who have joined us over the years have come onto the North Campus because of our specialities in tourism, culinary business, ECCE, child and youth care, and so on. Those are all the areas that are delivered on the North Campus. The South Campus, however, is a somewhat older building, but also has a lot of character. It houses our STEM schools, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So, and we've had several Canadian students in our engineering department over the years. Every Institute of Technology in Ireland operates on the same basis of categorisation of awards. So we have a level 6, a level 7, a level 8, and then postgraduateships are level 9 and level 10. When we did a mapping exercise with the colleges in Ontario, what we established was that a level 6 qualification from Ireland, from the Institute of Technology in Tralee, is the equivalent of a diploma from Colleges Ontario. A level 7, which we will call an ordinary degree, is the equivalent of a advanced diploma from Colleges Ontario. And then level 8 is an honours degree. When Colleges Ontario and the Institutes of Technology Ireland got together a few years ago, about 5 years ago, the objective of their coming together was to allow Colleges Ontario graduates the opportunity to, the pathway to a level 8 honours degree program with the least number of obstacles. Now, but cognizant at all times of the achievement of the highest and appropriate academic standards. So what we do is we endeavour to make sure that a graduate of a diploma program on your side can get direct access, advanced entry into year 3 on our side. A graduate of an advanced diploma from your side can get advanced entry into year 4 on our side. It's the same system that's operated throughout the entire country. It's a system called the Bologna Accord. So all the institutes of technology are signed up to it. So if you get a credential from the Republic of Ireland, it is transferable throughout the European Union and beyond because it's a pan-European qualification. And because Canada and North America in general recognizes the European Union, therefore your credential is equally recognizable once you go back to Canada to work there in a professional capacity. So, why study at IT Tralee? Number one, as a Canadian citizen, you don't need a visa to come into Ireland. You'll turn up at an Irish airport, you will have an offer of a college place from IT Tralee, and you will have evidence of emergency medical insurance, and therefore you're entitled to come into Ireland. However, as a full-time student, you must register with our Immigration Bureau within 90 days of arrival. Now, our Immigration Bureau, by coincidence, is also our local police station. The international office will advise you when the immigration officer is available in the police station, and you will be provided with what's called a GNIB, Gordon National Immigration Bureau card, or the green card as we call it. It will cost you, it costs at the moment €300. However, what it does is it allows you to stay as a full-time student in Ireland for 1 year. It allows you multiple re-entry into the country. So if you choose to go away for a weekend or for the spring break or fall break, you can come back in based on this GNIB card. In addition, it also allows you to work in Ireland as a full-time, while a full-time student, up to 20 hours a week. So about half a job, in other words. And then when you have finished your qualifications, you can work in Ireland for a 6-month period if you have an ordinary degree, or carry on for a 1-year period if you have an honours degree. IT Tralee will offer you what we call an interactive multicultural community. At the moment, we're just short of 500 international students on campus. They come from something like 83 different countries at the moment, and the international office goes to great efforts to make sure that all the international communities can integrate. So we have, I think the best day on campus in Tralee is probably International Day, when each nationality gets an opportunity to present their culture, their homeland, and so on. And one nationality will start competing with another. And we end up often having to cancel classes for a while until the noise dies down. In IT Tralee, like in all the institutes of technology, all our programs are practical, career-oriented programs. In other words, when you have completed your program in IT Tralee, you will be what we call job ready. You will be able to do the job as distinct from explaining how others might do the job. We also offer you a special package, specially designed for Colleges Ontario students. And our special package will cost you €9,500, but that includes accommodation. All the colleges in the Institute of Technology sector charge tuition fees of €7,500. We add 2,000 onto that to include your accommodation from September right through to May, if you wish to stay in one of the student residences. €9,500 is about, I calculated today, about €13,600. Now, that's because of currency fluctuations. When I first went to uh, Ontario about 4 years ago, the translation was of the exchange rate meant that it was going to cost students about 12,500 Canadian dollars. Last year, that went up to about 15,200 Canadian dollars, but now it's on its way back down again. So hopefully it will continue to come back down. As a college, we are registered with OSAP and the CRA. So if you currently avail of OSAP assistance, you will be in a position to retain that assistance. Because we're registered with OSAP, you can apply for assistance to attend IT Tralee just the same as if you were in your home college in Ontario. So when you contact the guys in Thunder Bay, they will recognize IT Tralee the same as they will recognize St. Lawrence or Fleming or Durham or St. Clair. So it makes it that much easier. However, because you are traveling abroad to study, it is your income that will be taken account of on this occasion by OSAP as distinct from your parents' income. So therefore, typically, you will be entitled to assistance of up to about 10,000 Canadian dollars. If you have somebody, a taxpayer, who is helping you with your fees, or you're a taxpayer yourself and paying your own fees, you will be in a position to claim some of those fees back from the Revenue Authority. And we are already registered with the Revenue Authority, so it eases that pathway for you. Next, IT Tralee offers you a relatively low cost of living. As in, when we've done the research recently, we've established that there is a cost of living difference of about 50% between Tralee and Dublin. We're 50% cheaper than living for 1 year in Dublin. And when we compare ourselves with the two cities closest to us, Limerick and Cork, the cost of living difference in that case is about 25%. The reasons for that is primarily up here again on the accommodation side. Because Tralee is, and Kerry in general, is a tourism hub, we have a lot of tourism accommodation in the city, a lot of self-catering tourism accommodation. The tourists need it during the tourist season, June, July, and August, and then it becomes available to students from September through to May. So on the basis of supply and demand, it means that the price of accommodation, the price of an individual apartment is a little bit cheaper. As a college, we offer you comprehensive student services. So you will have access to a student counsellor should you need any counselling facilities. You will have access to an access officer or a disability officer, where students maybe with learning difficulty will get assistance in particular programs that they might, or courses that they might be finding some difficulties in. And then the last thing that I would say is that when you come to Tralee, it will be a friendly environment that you're coming into. As I said at the beginning, you are coming to a college that you don't know of to work with people that you've never met before. There's one thing you can be sure of. The students in your class will be friendly towards you. The faculty that you meet will be friendly towards you. The international office will go out of their way to accommodate you. When you go down to your residence, you will find that everybody else in the residence is equally friendly and so on, total strangers in town. If I can just give you another example of what the students say to us. A student who was with us last year from Durham College wrote back to me as he was leaving to tell me, my experience at IT Tralee has been great. The welcome was the warmest and friendliest I have ever had. Tralee challenges the old saying that Canadians are the friendliest people. I'm happy to call it a draw, that when you come to Tralee, you will find the same level of friendliness as you found in your own city before you left Ontario. So to quickly look at some of the uh, programs that we currently have articulated with Colleges Ontario. Uh, Number one, and these are not in order of importance or significance of the number of students, and they're just the order that they happen to come up on the slide. Number one, culinary management. Uh, Typically, from Colleges Ontario, you will have a diploma in culinary management, and you can move into year 3 of our program. In 2 semesters, you will get a BA ordinary, at which time you will have the opportunity to move on to 4th year of our program for another 2 semesters and get an honours degree. Travel and tourism, again, will typically be a diploma from Colleges Ontario, advanced entry into year 3 of our program with no additional study requirements. Hotel management, likewise, the diploma from Colleges Ontario allows you direct entry into year 3 of our program. Typically, in business studies in Colleges Ontario, you will have an advanced diploma. We have 3 streams in business studies: accounting, marketing, and management. And in all 3 cases, an advanced diploma graduate of the appropriate stream will be entitled to come into 4th year of our program and in 2 semesters finish an honours degree. In our computing department, I would suggest that we have what I call computing with programs, computing with games development, computing with software development, and so on. So we currently have students from the computer program analyst program in Colleges Ontario. They came with an advanced diploma and come into 4th year to finish 2 semesters of a software development program. And then we have early childhood care and education. We put the extra C into it, the C in care, whereas in Ontario it will typically be called early childhood education, where a student comes in after 2 years in Canada with a diploma. They translate directly into year 3 of our program. Now, if we go back up to culinary, travel and tourism, hotel management, business studies, and so on, we have work experience, the practical programs again built into it in semester 6. So a student on the first number of programs there can opt to take their work experience back home in Ontario, or some decide we want to stay in Europe or travel to a different part of Europe. So, for example, last year we had 3 travel and tourism students who chose to go to Spain for their work experience. But think now of the credential that they had. They had a diploma from Ontario, and they also had a degree from a combination of Ireland and Spain. Okay, it was an Irish stamp that was on it, but nonetheless, from the perspective of going to a prospective employer, it tells a lot about the individual who travelled and then travelled again. However, with early childhood care and education, we have 2 semesters of work experience, semester 4 and semester 5. From Colleges Ontario, you will be joining us now in semester 5, which is a work experience semester. But because we don't know you at this point, we have to make sure that your work experience is based locally, where we will know the employer have access to you. Basically, if anything that happen to go wrong, because sometimes students' work experience mightn't quite work out for them or for their employer, so we'll be in a position to intervene as quickly as possible. Health and leisure, on the other hand, is health and leisure from our perspective is the equivalent of your FAHP. Typically, FAHP will be a diploma program, and you can transfer directly with full credit recognition into year 3 of our program and pick the appropriate stream on our health and leisure program. We also have a stream in health and leisure called with massage, and therefore students from Colleges of Ontario who have an advanced diploma in massage therapy can move into 4th year of our program with full credit recognition. So the massage therapy students will be in a position now to get their honours degree in 2 semesters in Ireland. We have a wide range of programs in agriculture. I've just identified 2 of them there in the science and in engineering. In music technology, one of my student colleagues is going to join me in a minute. He'll tell you all you need to know about music technology. He came as a third-year student. He's now in the 4th year. So he'll tell you his experience. The other student that will be with Riley is from an ECCE background, and she will tell you her experiences in Ireland. Information Systems Management is a degree program which is articulated with your OIS programs or Office of Information Executive programs. And then the Community and Youth Services graduates from College of Ontario can come into, typically advanced diploma, and come into year 4 and get an honours degree in social studies. The next thing I wanted to look at is the student residences, but what I'm going to do now is ask my student colleagues to come in and join me, tell you who they are.
So I'm Riley and I'm doing music tech 4th year. I actually got class rep, so you move up in the ranks here. This is Tori.
Yeah, I'm doing early childhood care and education, so I'm in the 3rd year program here. I did my placement at a primary school first semester, and then now I'm in classes right now.
So do you guys have any specific questions about actual college living or in Tralee? Okay, so the general studying in Ireland is different from Canada in a way that it's very sociable. The grading works in different ways. So they go by, instead of like an 80 would be an A here, it would be 70, yeah. And they have, instead of grades here, it's levels, so you do level 1 to 8. I mean, that's the only real difference academically.
And the exams are worth a lot more. It's more like final projects and exams as opposed to smaller assignments.
Yeah. Residence-wise, the best one to stay in is TTCA. It's right downtown. Kings Court and Kerry are 2 other ones, but they're about 40-minute walk out of town center. And a lot of the international students that I met last year and this year said they don't like it because it's too hard to get in and out, and especially when they're going out, you have to get taxis back and forth. So the closer you are to town, the better.
I live with just an older woman. I rent a room from her along with another international student, and that also works quite well if you're able to find someone to rent from, because then you kind of are able to learn more about the Irish culture. If you live with someone who lives there, they can kind of show you around a little bit, kind of help you out. So that's also a nice option.
How many hours placement? It depends what placement you get. When I did placement, it was only a couple hours a week. But like it's different because I'm music technology. So if you're doing other ones, it would be 9 to 4, 9 to 5 for business accounting, or
Yeah, like for mine, I was in a school, so it was regular school hours, so like 9 to 3, so pretty much, yeah, 6 hours, but we had breaks in between.
for traveling, it's really easy to travel here because the country's small, so it's not a challenge to get around at all. Um, it's actually loads of places you can travel within the country, but a lot of people just go off to Europe on Ryanair or whatever cheap flight you can get. But you can see quite a few different things here alone, and it's not really overly expensive like some other places are.
Yeah, they have a bus and train system that's just straight in town, so you can pretty much go from there to other places. They have an airport here which flies to a few different destinations, and then you could also take some larger airports like out of Dublin or Cork or something. And then also, yeah, like Ryanair is quite cheap. I flew to France over the March break, and it was quite inexpensive. You just have to kind of look online and see the cheaper flights. And then also the international office here does a trip, one per semester, for the international students. So last semester we did Ring of Kerry and went all the way around kind of the county, saw all like beautiful sights and stopped a lot of places for pictures and everything. It was really nice. And then we have another trip upcoming this weekend. So the international office always takes care of at least one trip per semester that you'll get to kind of see a bit of the country. So it's really nice.
The school did not put me, in an accommodation, they recommended them, and I had to, email them, but it's not a big issue. I know some of the other international students from other countries, I think they had a whole deal going on. But as far as I think your situation too, we have to get our own accommodations. But
Yeah, I think though the new agreement is going to be in TTCA from what I know of. So if you do opt for housing with the school, you can ask them what the accommodation they'll be placing you in is going to be called, and they'll show you in advance pictures of the place and that sort of thing.
so the King's Court is you're by a big shopping mall, but when you're here, the big thing is going out to pubs or stuff like
Maybe.
that. So depending on what you like. And they found the problem was getting cabs and going back and forth. They found it was more kind of there's too much work going into it. Rather than if you're in TTCA, you're literally 2 minutes from every pub in town. So it's a lot less kind of travel, and you save a lot of money because the taxis can, depending on who you get for the drivers and depending how many you have in the car, can be, they can price you. So, uh,
It depends, the academic fees or the accommodation fees, it depends on what kind of package you select. So you can choose one that includes a housing package, or you can opt out for just choosing your own housing and simply paying for the fees. So it's kind of just up to you on that one. And then someone just mentioned earlier about the ECCE, the placement. I just want to mention about that. So depending on what kind of area you're looking into going into with ECCE, for me, like I want to be a teacher, so I requested a primary school placement. Now, the way that they run primary schools are quite different than they run them in Canada. So one recommendation I would have is that if you want to do a primary school placement, request like an Educate Together school or one that's a little more kind of flexible or free thinking because they're more into like kind of rote learning and seat work for young children here. So you kind of have to be a little bit careful in that area. But as long as you request it ahead of time, they'll be happy to place you in one of those schools. Or also, like maybe a Montessori is a good option because I've heard a lot of positive things about those settings as well.
on regards to the academic workload, for me, it was uh, more writing in a way. So you get a lot like more CAs and more summatives rather than again when I went to St. Lawrence, it was a lot of quizzes here and there, minor things to kind of build up your mark. But here, it's like you have 30% midterm or midterm assignment and then 70% essay. Or I know a lot of the classes last year that the guys I knew, they had 100% essays. Um, and they were kind of surprised because no one really told them. So it really depends on what you take. Um, and, yeah, so it really depends.
And the other thing too, I guess, is that like in college in Canada, it's like all the assignments are just worth less. So, do this assignment's worth 10% or it's worth 20% or something like that. Whereas usually it's like, okay, do this big assignment's worth 50%, then your exam's worth 50% or something like that. So the key thing to do is to be kind of maintaining your like studying and kind of updating, like really writing good notes and that sort of thing ahead of time. Because if you kind of just wait until the assignment's due, then you're going to be in big trouble because it's worth so much. So to kind of, even though you're not necessarily having these assignments due all the time, that you maintain like up to date on all the things that's going on in your classes, all the readings you're supposed to be doing, that kind of thing, so that you're well prepared when these exams or big essays or assignments come.
In terms of getting to college from the town center, there's a bus shuttle that they do that goes from King's Court all the way up to North Campus and stops all the way along and goes back. And it's €1.50 either way. Or it's about a 40-minute walk, half an hour to 40-minute walk from the North Campus, from this city town center.
Or you can also rent a bicycle. So a lot of student accommodations will offer that you can rent a bicycle from them for the year. Or maybe you can look at, some people are selling their bicycles secondhand. A lot of international students, maybe they're leaving to go back to their country. So then they'll kind of post that they're going to be selling a bicycle and you can buy it from them or that kind of thing. There are some bike shops around as well. But for me, I just rented from my accommodation and it actually worked out really well. So I just cycle to school every day. It takes me about 15 or 20 minutes. So it's really not too bad.
When you're living, depending on where you live, I mean, it's everywhere. Dampness is a problem. So you want sweaters, keep you warm, stuff like that.
A good raincoat.
Yeah,
I made that mistake. I didn't come with like any waterproof anything, which yeah, definitely a mistake.
um, it's not bad though. Let's see, we're closing society.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So the clubs and societies are actually like a really, really great aspect of IT Tralee that I've really appreciated. So I really love like athletics and sports and that sort of thing. So I didn't get too involved in the societies simply because I just didn't have time, but I've heard a lot of good things about them as well. And there's quite a diversity. They have music, they have gaming, they have movies, they have, like charity work, St. Vincent de Paul, just all different ones, TV, radio, that kind of thing. But then the clubs, honestly, there's like a never ending list of like sports and kind of outdoor activities and things that you can take part in. I did running and soccer for the most part, but I also tried out swimming, kickboxing, aerobics, all different basketball. There's like a ton of different things you can do. And they also do kind of different excursions on the weekend. They've done surfing before. It's just like €10 if you want to go with the surf club, or they've done sailing before. And I know that they've also done like rock climbing and things like that. And then they also have competitions that you can take part in as well that the college will send you on. So I took part in the track competition, which was in another city. And I just entered in, and the college sent me, paid for me to stay overnight there and everything like that. It was a really great experience.
The weather is not at all similar to Canada. It's nowhere near as cold for the winter anyway. It'd be rain and dampness and windy, but that's about it. It was last year. The fall and winter was a lot worse than this year. Um, so it varies, but it doesn't get anywhere near as cold. It's just damp and wet.
One warning though is that you might think it's not going to be cold at all because there's no snow or anything, but it still will be quite damp. So make sure you layer up, bring like a lot of things you can kind of, a couple of like sweaters on top of each other or something like that, because it can get pretty chilly because of the dampness. So it might be a little deceiving sometimes if you look at the weather.
So far, I've been here for my second year here, and it's been a great experience. I would encourage. I've always told people that it's the best decision I made. Um, I would encourage people to do it if that's what they want to do, go abroad. Um, the decision that made me do it was convenient because it kind of transferred my grades over easy, so I could finish my program in 4 years instead of restarting after 2 in St. Lawrence. But it was the country itself, the culture, and student life wise. I mean, um, it's almost perfect for student life. You know, the going out, social, all the clubs and stuff, and the trips, and going out at night.
Yeah, like for me, I mean, you have to be prepared. I'm like a really big family person, so it's been really hard to be like so far away from my family. I went home for Christmas, to see them and everything like that. But I mean, it's been good. Like I'm getting a degree in 1 year essentially, like because I'm upgrading from my diploma. And I mean, that was a really nice option for me. So I'm really happy that I came, and, obviously new experiences like traveling overseas, you really learn a lot as opposed to just staying in one place. So yeah, if you're up for moving far away because it is a big transition, then I think it's, a good option.
Um, Afterwards, well, I do hope to stay here. Um, just have to get a job, sort of job out first. But I'm gonna finish college first, and then go home for the summer, get some money, and come back and definitely try and get a steady job and stay here.
For me, I'm going to go back to Canada and further my studies because I want to be an elementary school teacher. So yeah, I won't be staying here. If you want to be a primary school teacher in Ireland, you have to speak Irish, and I do not do that. So that's definitely not an option. But yeah, I'm going to be returning to Canada. But it is a really nice option that I'm able to get my degree here, and go back to Canada and continue my studies because it's recognized by the EU. then it transfers over into Canada as like a real degree.
Do you mean a citizen of the country or living here as a resident, or like living here? We'll come back to it. We actually, there are loads of chances to travel. Oh, yes, a citizen. I got a citizen because I have relations here in Ireland, so I got my passport before coming here and was a citizen. Um, and honestly, I'm not too sure on how that would go.
Yeah, I don't know, because I wasn't looking into it. I'm just here for the year, but I know that if you do a degree, like if you do a 4th-year degree program, I'm pretty sure you can work in Ireland for up to a year after you're finished, which is like a nice like chance for people to stay if they want to. But I don't know about becoming a citizen or anything.
So yeah, back to the travel within. Like the college does bus trips here and there. There's a travel program called the Irish Experience, which is outside of the college, but they advertise within the international section of the school. And they take you to Dingle or, up north to Belfast, Galway. They have a new West Coast tour. I'm not sure what the details are, but they go loads of places. And the school, like we're going to Cork this weekend, and they do the Ring of Kerry. Bus. I think it only takes 5 hours or 7 hours to get to the top of the country and back down. So, you can take a train or a bus and get anywhere within the day. Do most people speak English? Yes, almost everybody. So
Yeah,
almost
yeah.
everybody speaks English. There's very few spots. Dingle is the only place I've seen where there's Irish speaking people.
It's just they teach it in all schools, so that's why as a teacher you have to speak it here, but it's not,
And all the signs, it's like Quebec,
Ontario does that too.
Ontario it would be
Like in Canada, we have French and English, so
yeah,
we have
yeah.
English and Irish.
What are you saying?
I'm not staying up for level 8, so I'm gonna come back to Canada, get some courses so that I can upgrade enough and then apply for teachers college.
I stayed for level 8 because I wanted to finish off, and actually coming here, I get a higher level of recognition for level 8 than I would in Canada, so that was a big bonus. And St. Patty's Day was very good both years. Now I had a Canadian come over. He wasn't too into it, but it depends. It depends your style. So if you like the pubs and stuff like that, then it's fantastic. But
They had a parade too in town this year, and some of my friends went to Cork, and they said it was really, really good there. So kind of depends. If you want like a really big scale, then maybe take a bus to Cork or Dublin. If you are okay with like more like low key, then stay in Tralee. They have a parade, they have pubs, that sort of thing.
yeah, the whole country it's actually really cool. But from what I've experienced and what other people tell me, where you live, you should go out somewhere for St. Patty's Day. So, in other words, like I stayed Tralee this year, which was all right, but they say you should just go somewhere else because it'll be a whole new, pubs you've never been to, and stuff like that. But every pub has a band playing that night, so it's exciting.
Yeah, you can definitely plan to go on to level 8, but I believe that your grades have to be like a little bit high, so not super high, but like above the minimum to go into level 8 if you don't choose level 8 in the beginning. So you have an option to apply, but they might, like if your grades are low, they might defer you until other people have had a chance to apply for level 8, and then if they still have spaces, you can get in. But if your grades are okay, then I think it wouldn't be a problem.
I didn't work. I worked over the summer when I went home, and that kind of flowed me through. Now I do have OSAP too, but I only took out one loan. It was a little bit of a mix up there, but that's all I've been coasting on is the OSAP and the what I got over from the summer. So it's for me it's all right. I mean I go out quite a bit, so the cost hasn't affected me much. And living, in Tralee is a lot lower cost than Dublin. Like if you go to Dublin, you're paying to be in Dublin pretty much. And Tralee is, not too much different price wise from Canada. So,
Yeah, I just did a lot of saving. I mean, I worked for several summers and that sort of thing, so I just kind of saved up my money. I didn't need to take an OSAP loan out, but I also haven't worked here either. So, but there is definitely opportunities for people to apply to jobs. You just have to apply for a PPS number, which is really not hard at all. I did it just in case I wanted to get a job here and it was free for me. So it's not a hard process or anything like that. You could quite easily, I think, attain a job if you wanted to. Do we miss anything? Or we good about
uh,
it? Sure.
what else did I tell you? Flights here to get over, depending on what your price range is for flights. I usually take Aer Lingus, which is nonstop, and the average what I pay is from could be about 600 to about 800 Canadian. Uh, this year I had to fly home on Christmas Eve, so it was 1100. No, yeah, 1100. But um, you can take. I had my housemate took
WestJet.
WestJet with a stopover, and it was about 200 and something to get over. So that's about flights.
Yeah, it kind of depends. I would definitely recommend booking more in advance because the later you wait, the more expensive it gets, typically. So, yeah, if you want to do a round trip, like if you're thinking of coming home for Christmas, which you might want to, especially if you're away for several months, then maybe book a round trip, from September to December or whatever, and then book another round trip, for the way home.
The one thing when you're booking round trips is don't book it off of third-party uh, websites like Cheapo Air because it's cheap at the time you buy, but if per se like an exam comes up or whatever happens and you have to move the flight, if you go direct through Air Canada or Aer Lingus, whatever flight that you go through the website, you need to change. It only costs 200 at the very most, depending on what day you're leaving. But if you fly Cheapo Air, or if you fly out of Cheapo Air or whatever other websites, I had to move my flight, and it cost about $500. So it's almost a whole new flight.
So you gotta make sure you have the dates for like the exams, like the final days for exams and everything before you're booking any flights because, if they get changed, then you're gonna be paying quite a bit of money.
Yeah. And when you're coming into the country, I had no problem because I just used my Irish passport, so I didn't get asked any questions. But if you have a Canadian passport, you got to make sure you have all the contact info for the school,
Yeah.
residence, bills, every piece of paper that's relevant to your stay here and why you're here. Because every Canadian that I know, like my housemate, my friend, they came over and they were stopped and they had to call the accommodation, call the school just to make sure they were coming in. For whatever reason, I don't know, but it's better to be, safe.
Yeah, I didn't have to call anyone, but I had all the paperwork, like the um, acceptance letter or whatever from the school and everything showing them what I was there for and that kind of thing. And then when you get here, you'll have to apply for a GNIB number, or a card or whatever. So you have to go down to the immigration office and you pay €300 and then you get your picture taken and it's kind of like a temporary citizenship card kind of thing or whatever.
And when you're coming over, I assume most everyone's going to fly in from Dublin. So when you're coming over to Tralee, if you're taking the train, you can get a student credit, which is half. So instead of €60 to get to Tralee, it'll only be €30. But then again, you got to have all the papers because they'll come and check for your card, your student card. But obviously, you won't have one until you get here. But I just showed them the receipt that I paid all the money and all this stuff, and they said it was fine. So you want to save what you can for student deals.
And the other thing too is that actually when I came here, they had a bus come and pick a bunch of the students up for free. So I don't remember, I think that was through the school, through the international office, so maybe talk to them about that and see what dates they're offering pickups and that sort of thing.
It's me again. Renee asked a question there. Renee, I think we've spoken before, Renee, have we? Glad to see that you're still interested, possibly in joining us. But when Renee asked a question about sports clubs and so on of Tori was very modest. Last night she was awarded the Club Person of the Year in our athletics club. Someone else asked a question about the weather. It is one of the things you'll find about Ireland. We don't do extremes. We have some beautiful mountains, but they're not as big as your mountains. We have some beautiful lakes, but they're not as big as your lakes. We have some beautiful waterfalls, but they're not quite as big as your waterfall. Our weather will never get as hot and warm as yours in the summer, but then it'll never get as cold as yours in the winter, and we seldom see that white stuff that you seem to have a lot of. Jay asked the question there, is it easy to open a bank account? The answer is yes, and there is a resident bank on campus. The answer, yeah, you also just need to identify who you are, and you need to show that you have a permanent residence in Ireland to do it. I wanted there to just show you back to the PowerPoint slide just for another few minutes, because it's almost 11 o'clock here now, so these guys are going to be trying to kick us out of the building very soon. Actually, we have to get a dispensation to stay on past 10. The picture is a scene of a typical student residence. It is one of the residences in town. There is a residence that is a 2-minute walk from the campus. Some students prefer that. Some students would prefer to go downtown where there's more fun, there's more action packed. There was some mention there of King's Court. By implication, it's on the edge of town, so it's a longer distance from it. It's beside the big shopping mall, which is the out of town shopping mall. So it by implication is out of town. So it's away from the college and it's away from everything else in town. This student from St. Lawrence College last year told us Tralee has been great, the town has everything you could need, people are very helpful, the town centre apartments are amazing. And that seems to be the general reaction that we get from Canadian students, that Tralee town centre apartments seems to be the way to go. This is the interior of some of them. All the mod cons are provided. Typically, you'll be sharing with 3 other students. You can nominate the 3 students you wish, or alternatively, you will end up with other people in the same boat as yourself who has just turned up. Now, to just recap on the Special Colleges Ontario package, the €9,500. That includes tuition fee for your 2 semesters. It includes the registration fee. It includes accommodation from September to May. Because the accommodation is not on campus, it means that you don't have to leave your accommodation in spring break, fall break, Christmas break, and so on. So you can stay there with impunity. You will get emergency medical insurance for 1 year. You will get pick up at the airport on your first arrival. If, say, for example, some students will travel with a parent, or a parent might decide I'm traveling with a student for the first week or 2 weeks and so on to get them set up. If, say, you arrive at Shannon Airport with a parent, or arrive at Dublin Airport, then fine. Your parent can equally get on the bus and get the free trip to Tralee. The important thing is the pick up at the airport, rather than coming into a strange airport, trying to find your own way to Tralee. We do that for you. I just want to emphasize that in the accommodation, food is not included. Everything else essentially is included in your apartment, except bed linen. Now, don't bring that with you. We would suggest budget for that. About 60, 70 euros to buy one of the local apartments. I see another question here from Renee. In regards to ECE, is it possible to be exempt from the placement component on the grounds of work experience, perhaps submitting a resume, portfolio, or other assessment? If you send me details of why you think you should be exempted from it, I will have my people over here have a look at it, and it will be their decision for the ECCE course board. But we tend to be as flexible as possible. I suppose we operate a system of concept of double jeopardy. If you have already achieved the learning outcomes, then there's no point in you having to redo the learning outcomes again. But it'll be a case of that maybe some alternative system could be put in place. All accommodations in Tralee will include internet access. So we're still on the special package. Okay, I think one of the guys follower here mentioned Aer Lingus. Aer Lingus is the national airline of Ireland, and they offer a special package to Canadian students travelling to study in Ireland. They operate what they call the Smart Flies Aer Lingus campaign. If you're coming from Canada, you book I'll give you a special offer of a flexible ticket, which means that you have a free day change on your return flight. So you might decide I want to stay longer in Ireland, or maybe I want to go home a little bit earlier. That will save you typically about 150 Canadian dollars, which is quite useful. It may be a case that you thought you're going to leave on the 18th of May, but now I've decided I want to stay on a little bit longer. So it's going to save you $150. If someone of your family or friends want to visit you while you're here, they equally can avail of that same special price. So for further information and applications, we advise you to talk to KOM Consultants at komconsultants.com. The two people there that you are most likely to contact, well, certainly the two people that I have had most contact with are Sue Dorman, that's S. Dorman at komconsultants.com, or Amelia Brooks at Student Services at komconsultants.com. When I looked at this presentation previously, it was a much wider screen, and therefore everything ended up on the same line. Applications are intended to be with us by the end of May. We would obviously prefer if they arrived a little bit earlier for administration purposes, but it's not necessarily a problem. And in terms of registering with IT Tralee, we would ask you, when you do commit to joining us, that you would pay a deposit. At least half must be paid by the time you register. The other half must be paid maybe before the end of November. That's to simply allow you to get your OSAP funding or OSAP assistance organised for yourself without having to put yourself into a state of some penury. We will also date, if there are any financial difficulties at all, please talk to our international office. Lila, my colleague in the international office, will sort something out. We tend to be very flexible to allow students the best opportunity. As I said at the beginning, our intention is to reduce the obstacles as much as possible to facilitate a pathway to an honest degree. And if paying money up front or at a particular time causes a problem, then that's an option that we can reduce to. It doesn't cost us anything in the end, let's be honest about it, because by the time it comes to exam, you have to pay, well, someone's got to say, where's the money? So thank you for all the time you spent with us here tonight. I hope you've got as much information as you need. If you want any further information on the college, click on www.ittralee and you can find the range of programs there. We will call them courses. Our course is the same as your program. Or feel free at any time, if you want more detailed information, to contact me at cyril.gavahan at ittralee.ie. Now, if there are no more questions, I will take my leave of you. Thank you all. Thank you, Jay, for your comments. I hope, as I say, that you got all the information that you needed. If you need any further information over the next few days, please feel free to contact me. Thank you to Martin in Hamilton and to Adam. Thank you to Chris back here in Ireland for keeping us all on the road. Okay, thank you all very much. Good night.